Hey everybody, today I wanted to talk to you about the construct stones and how, honestly, to be quite frank with you, I'm a little let down by this season theme. This season theme, while yes, I like that I have a companion that does cool things, I mean, there's not really a whole lot of customizability to this. I honestly almost feel like the last season theme was better in terms of like player power and stuff like that, because a lot of these tuning stones I think are going to end up being useless. So let me explain why. So the first thing is just mathematically speaking, it's almost always going to be better to increase your damage if you have a multiplicative damage multiplier over increasing these construct, because I just don't believe the construct is going to do enough damage to be relevant like that. So what's going to end up happening is on one side of your bar, most players I think are going to end up running this setup. They're going to run Flash of Adrenaline, okay, so that's 8 seconds. It lasts for 8 seconds. They're going to go to their tuning stones, right? They're going to use duration support. That is going to increase it by 4 seconds. So that means now it's at 12 seconds, right? Then they're going to be using, where's it at? Where's it at? There's one here that does cooldown. Where's it at? Size. Oh yeah, right here. Tactical support. Decrease the cooldown of supported skill by, it's going to be about 30%. So that means that your downtime, oh, and it goes up by 2%, so it's actually going to be like 40%. So that means you're going to be able to keep 100% uptime on this Flash of Adrenaline skill. So that means, yeah, you're just going to end up running Genesis to increase its effectiveness, right? So that means it's going to be like a 50% multiplicative damage buff that you have up all the time, and that's just going to be one slot. And I don't see how that's ever going to get beaten. Like, I don't see how that's ever not better than anything else you can run, right? Because I don't believe that this is going to end up doing an insane amount of damage. Now, that being said, you're pretty much going to have that as your kind of buff setup, and then on the other setup, that's where you have customizability, which kind of sucks though, because instead of having full customizability, you really only have customizability here, because this one thing is going to eclipse everything else, which kind of sucks. But that being said, the next setup I think is going to be pretty popular. You're going to look at the speed of which the skill happens. Okay, so speed 2.2 seconds. So this is not ever going to be used. Why do I say that? Because in the tuning stones you have Evernight. This gives you +4 ranks to all skills. This is going to be like most likely for a lot of builds best in slot, except for maybe like the Bleed Barb, who has a 30% multiplicative damage buff here, right? So it says the supported skill grants you +4 to all skills when used for 2 seconds. So that means you need the attack speed of the skill to happen faster than the duration of this. So any of these abilities that are over 2 seconds are most likely not going to be used. Like, look at this one, Focus Fire, 3.33 seconds. You know, it's like, why use this? You know, I will say this though, a lot of these are under 2 seconds, so that is cool. Me personally, I'm going to be trying out Tempest. I think Tempest will be pretty interesting to use as the governing stone for this one. But yeah, so what I think is going to happen is Tempest, and then people are going to run Evernight, and then they're going to come over here and they're probably going to run something like resource support. So player gains 2 primary resource when the supporting skill first deals damage, and that's going to go up to like 10 resource. And then they're going to run something like safeguard support, right? So when used, a supported skill grants 1.15% multiplicative damage reduction. By the way, this is multiplicative, so this is an insane damage reduction buff. So if we end up having content that's like hard enough to where this is necessary, this is going to be really good for buffing your defense, right? So, but if you don't end up needing the resource, then I would imagine people are going to end up running something like the crit buff. So when supporting skill deals damage, you gain 6% critical strike chance to the same target's hit for 3 seconds. And that's why I said Tempest was so good, is because since it says specifically the same target's hit, Tempest has like an AoE effect to it that spreads. So that should help you like have this procced again and have extra crit versus everything, because this is going to end up being like 15% crit or something like that when all is said and done. So that's pretty good. You know, and unless I'm wrong and this stuff ends up, you know, being like, what's the word I'm looking for? unless I'm wrong and this stuff ends up doing like way more damage than I thought, because I'm curious to see how this registered damage support's going to work. But yeah, unless this Constructs ends up dealing a lot of damage, people aren't going to use any of these damage ones, and they're just going to focus on using the ones that can buff you. So you have the illusion of choice, but in reality, the moment you get into any higher content like tier 90s, all of these choices are probably going to end up going away, and I don't even think you have the illusion of choice when it comes to this. Like, I think Flash of Adrenaline is such a cut and dry, this is what you take, that like I don't know. Maybe I'm insane. So overall, I don't really care for the season theme a whole lot. I do think it's cool I have another companion, but just because I like playing companion builds, so that's cool, and that's like the main upside. I am going to test it. I am going to do, you know, other stuff, see if there's any creative things I can come up with. But I think this, unfortunately, I think the way that these seasonal powers work, I think there's just going to end up being another cut and dry meta of you need to run this. So even if you have fun playing Fireflies or you have fun playing Impale, it's not really going to matter. It's not really going to matter a whole lot, because running all this stuff is just going to be so much better. You're just going to feel bad for running all that stuff. Because I mean, like a 50% damage increase, like that you can have up all the time, plus 4 ranks to all your skills, like, oh my god. And then the plus 4 ranks for Genesis to all your skills, like, oh my Lanta. Given those are Ubers, so like they should be that good, but like, man. So until you get that Uber though, I will say this, Flash of Adrenaline maybe isn't going to be 100% thing you need to run, because it really just goes crazy once you get, you know, increase the effectiveness by 150%, you know, when you're like 1.5 timesing the amount. So maybe there's an argument that you could run something else there. I don't really see how auto defense is good. It's a little too limited, I guess. Unless some type of content comes out where this ends up becoming a good tech. Let's see, healing beam, protective barrier, no. Yeah, so I don't know. We will end up seeing how much damage this stuff does, but to me, at least currently, it doesn't seem like the companion does a whole lot. Now, granted, I'm only level 25. This is just my first impressions, so you know, don't get too discouraged. Maybe I'm 100% wrong about how something works. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe if you want to see more. I'll see you next time. Thanks.